So I don't know if you saw this. So here's Brian Stelter.
Stelter, yeah.
Stelter, he hosts a show called Reliable Sources on CNN. Now let's remember the previous host of that show of Reliable Sources had to resign after he filed one too many stories that were unreliable. And now he works for Fox News, Howard Kurtz. So then they bring in this guy. And why do you think they brought in this guy? He's supposed to be the media watchdog. Well, you know, CNN doesn't really hire. They hired him because he's going to pretend to be a media watchdog, which is exactly what he is. And he's paid to do propaganda. And that's exactly what he does. So listen to what he says about this story and how he. Now, let's remember, this is the same guy who told you ratings don't matter at CNN with a straight face. You think so? Just keep that in mind. Ready? Here we go.
It does reinforce bad stereotypes about the news media. I agree with you. I am desperate as a media reporter to always say to the audience, judge folks individually and judge brands individually. Don't fall for what these politicians out there want you to do. They want you to think we're all crooked. We're not. But BuzzFeed
and neither
now,
is BuzzFeed. I mean,
now BuzzFeed, now the onus is on BuzzFeed. Right now the onus is on
bad
BuzzFeed.
day for BuzzFeed.
So someone said he sounds like Nixon. We're not all crooked. We're not all crooked. I'm not a crook. That's what he sounds like to me. He sounds like a guy screaming that he's not a crook. When Brian Stelter is a bullshitter, there's no doubt about it. And if you want to see him bullshit, when he does it in front of a live audience, that's why I love comedy so much. It's the ultimate equalizer because laughter is an involuntary response. Laughter. And so when you say something so fucking ridiculous and so stupid on its face in front of a room full of people, often they laugh in your fucking face. And you can't deny that, right? So here's Brian Stelter trying to lie to a room full of people that he actually has journalistic integrity. And Ted Koppel calls him out. Here we go.
There will be more presidents.
What were the ratings before Trump and what are the ratings now?
I would say we might be up 20, we might be up 30%, we might be up 40%. If we go back down 40%, that's okay too.
Well, it may not be okay.
Of course it is. No, but hold on.
A whole room full of journalists fucking laugh at him right in his fucking face. Did you hear the uncomfortable silence after he said it too? People are like, did he just really say that? And so that's the guy who's begging you, don't believe people when they say we're crooked. That's the guy who's begging you. The guy who literally will bullshit you, gaslight you about what ratings mean at CNN. That's called gaslighting, which is another form of lying, which means the guy who's the media watchdog is a public fucking liar. And what did he lie about? Not about his marriage or cheating on his girlfriend. He lied about the fucking media. That's the general purpose. That's what he's lying about. And that's who's the guy they tapped to host. And now you know why CNN fucking sucks.
If I could tell you my favorite Brian Stelter anecdote, and by the way, he's a nice guy. I've talked to him before. He's harmless, but
it's got nothing to do with being a nice guy.
You know, but that story I mentioned earlier, where CNN and MSNBC had confirmed that Donald Trump Jr. had received the WikiLeaks emails before they were publicly released, which turned out to be a fake story.
Yeah.
So Brian Stelter. This is a CNN story, right? So this isn't even BuzzFeed now. This is a CNN story. So Brian Stelter, and on his show that week, in response to that, he brought on Carl Bernstein and David Frum, okay? And he didn't, and there was no effort by Brian to try to find out, how did my network get this story so wrong? How were our sources so unreliable? Instead, he brought on Carl Bernstein and David Frum. David Frum, of course, the guy who wrote the Axis of Evil speech, propagandist for George W. Bush, helping to drum up support for the Iraq War. And David Frum told Brian Stelter this. I'll never forget this. And actually, Max Blumenthal and I did a segment on this when I was at The Real News, and I'll tweet this out for people to watch because it's so funny. David Frum says to Brian Stelter, Brian, you know what? Stories like this are precisely the reason why people should trust the media, because mistakes happen. Because mistakes happen in the process of gathering the truth. And Brian Stelter goes,
Yes.
Is it some deep insight, you know? So that's the level of accountability that you're talking about. And it's just sad. And it's sad there, too, seeing in that clip Brian trying to spin this as if this is BuzzFeed's problem. No, this is a media-wide problem. BuzzFeed is a part of a media culture that has enabled this, as evidenced by the fact that Brian Stelter's network, CNN, spent 24 hours after the story talking about it nonstop, hyping it up, talking about impeachment, believing it. First of all, not even questioning like the story's merits, because there are all those holes that were obviously there, as a few of us pointed out immediately on our lowly Twitter platforms, because that's how we can do it now. We don't have big cable networks to do this, and parroting it, and then like it takes Robert Mueller coming out for them to finally to realize, oh wait, like we made a mistake. But no, what should have happened is they should have done their jobs as journalists and scrutinized it, like been minimally skeptical. But that's gone out the window for a long time now, and unfortunately, someone like Brian Stelter is supposed to be a watchdog. I mean, his performance here exemplifies that really unfortunate dynamic.
Yes, an unfortunate dynamic. We're announcing our live dates for 2019. We're going to Chicago and Portland, Seattle, New York, all over the country. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all our tickets to all our shows. It'll be right underneath there, too. Please become a patron if you like our content and help support the show. You can become a patron for $5 a month, and we give you hours of bonus material. And make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I'm not kidding. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice when we drop a video. It's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. Thanks for your support.